What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Beef. Wait a minute. This is what happened to my room?
Silly boy, you moved out.
Wait, Mom?
No, you stupid son of mine. Mom wasn't actually available today, so I'm playing both parts. Pretty clever, huh?
I mean, not really. You didn't even change outfits. Wear a hat, nothing to differentiate us. Listen, are you even sure you want to add this bit into the video? It seems pretty poorly planned.
My best. You'll see. I'll get 1 million views and become the world's #1 YouTuber. I swear it!
Okay, well, if this isn't my room, then I just have to figure out where I moved to. All right, here goes nothing. Huh. You know, this doesn't seem right either.
I wanna get lost in your room. Damn it, Nick! I told you to stop teleporting my room!
Okay, hold on. I can explain. It's not that big of a deal.
Alright, that's it.
Okay. Ow. Well, this definitely isn't my new place. At least I hope not. Okay, let's try again. Third time's the charm.
Oh. Whew. Okay. Now this feels right. Actually, one more thing. Oh, hey. That's better. Welcome back to another installment of Happy Foo Year, a retrospective looking back at every single recorded Foo Fighters album to help celebrate the band's 25th anniversary. My name is Nick, and I just moved into a new apartment! Yay! Woo-hoo! New apartment! Yeah! That's right, after 25 years of life, I'm finally up and out on my own. It's been really exciting, and I even have a couple of new roommates who are really cool. Here, let me take on a quick tour of the apartment, and maybe we can even meet Miranda and Andres. Okay, here we go. All right, and here we...
Dude, come on. We told you that we didn't want to be part of your stupid video like weeks ago.
Don't worry, everybody. They're not actually that mean. It was all part of the script.
No, it wasn't!
No, it wasn't. They'll come around. Anyway, let's get right into the video. For those of you who aren't caught up with the series or just want a little refresher, I'll go ahead and link the playlist up in the little I button up here. But otherwise, time to go Sonic Highway style! So the year is 2014, and 19-year-old Nick was discovering that his 100% real and unironically used Nickelback poncho made for the perfect freshman dorm room decoration. Meanwhile, the Foo Fighters had finished promoting their latest landmark album, Wasting Light, and started getting their travel bags ready for the next big surprise that they had in store for fans. After announcing that they were taking a little break in between albums, the Foos came out with the news that they were recording another never-before-done project. Not to be one-upped by their previous effort, of course. Dave and company knew that whatever they did next had to be as innovative, if not more so, for the band than what they did to shake up their process with Wasting Light. But instead of going back to their roots to record a studio album entirely on tape in a garage no less, they widened their scope to turn the whole world into their studio. This project was to be known as Sonic Highways, and for it, the band took to the road with the intent to record 8 different songs in 8 different studios in 8 different landmark cities across the entire country. Okay, so maybe it wasn't the entire world, but still! The prospect of recording Sonic Highways was a lofty one, but definitely still exciting. Imagining my favorite band in the world coming to record a song in a city that I only lived half an hour away from. Not only that, but the Foo Fighters were taking it upon themselves to interview musicians and other industry folks who were from and represented each city to help inform the writing process, which made the whole project feel like an honest celebration of all of these cities and what music meant to each of them. Additionally, these musicians were to be featured all across the album, further cementing the impact that this piece of art was about to have. As a Foo Fighters fan, how could you not be excited? And after all of the plans had been laid out, it was time to get to work. So the 8 cities that were chosen to be represented on the album were Chicago, Illinois, Arlington, Virginia, Nashville, Tennessee, Austin, Texas, Joshua Tree, California, New Orleans, Louisiana, Seattle, Washington, and New York City in New York. Recognizing that each city had signature sounds of its own, the challenge for the band became making sure that each song they wrote accurately represented each city, while also maintaining the band's own sound on top of that. Now this is where the interviews come in. Collaborating with industry titans from each city ensured that the album would be well informed informed as far as upholding each city's distinct sonic qualities. These qualities come to light in various different ways, and are developed over time by artists who have lived to experience and absorb all that their city has to offer. For example, Seattle is considered to be a very dreary and rainy place, so a majority of music that comes out of it represents these qualities with artists who write introspective lyrics and create somber sounding productions. Now, not every artist from any given city writes the same kind of music, but the album Sonic Highways does its best to boil each city and its sound down to these basic qualities based on generalizations. And to help keep these aspects intact, the Foo Fighters recruited musicians from each city to help make the songs that they were asked to play on sound more authentic. Special guest appearances include Cheap Trick guitarist Rick Nielsen on Something from Nothing in Chicago, the vocalist and bassist respectively from the band Scream, Peter Stahl and Skeeter Thompson on The Feast and the Famine in Arlington, Zach Brown, who is the vocalist and guitarist in the band of his own namesake on Congregation in Nashville, guitarist Gary Clark Jr. on What Did I Do? God Is My Witness in Austin, producer Chris Goss and Eagles guitarist Joe Walsh on Outside in Joshua Tree, the entire Preservation Hall Jazz Band on In the Clear in New Orleans, Death Cab for Cutie lead vocalist and guitarist Ben Gibbard on Subterranean in Seattle, and producer Tony Visconti and singer-songwriter pianist Christine Young on I Am a River in New York City. On top of that, there are countless other contributions from other musicians and studio staff that I didn't mention, making this quite possibly the largest studio staff for any Foo Fighters album to date. And with all of these voices contributing to the album overall, Sonic Highways was bound to be emblematic of the band's efforts. Right? Well, I will say this. Sonic Highways is an extensive and ambitious working example of musical identity. On paper. Now, with that being said, would I have been able to tell where each song was recorded had I not known the history and intent behind it? Absolutely not. Could I even tell which guest artists they had on each song had it not been for the liner notes? Not even a little bit. For as lofty a goal and for as much work and research the band put into making this a groundbreaking album full of unique sounds from all across the United States, all I really hear is the Foo Fighters. Not that that's a bad thing necessarily, but the expectations set by the album's goals are lost entirely in the quest to create something truly sonically dynamic and unique. For as much as the song sounds like the Foo Fighters, Something from Nothing never once reminded me of Chicago. And I don't mean to sound too harsh, and this might not even make sense, but even if the whole album sounds like the Foo Fighters, even if Sonic Highways sounds like a classic Foo Fighters album, there aren't really a whole lot of songs on the album that I would consider classic. I hardly ever go back to listen to Sonic Highways because, quite frankly, there are other albums and songs in this band's catalog that represent their sound so much better and are much more enjoyable to listen to. Although I do like the second half of this album notably more than the first. In the Clear is fun and probably the best example of mixing another sound with the Foo Fighters because you have the horn section in the later parts of the song, while Subterranean is spooky and has probably one of my favorite song-to-song transitions on any album period, leading right into the theatric and dramatic I Am a River, which is probably the most experimental song on this album. Now, I know that this is the most harsh I've sounded about any album I've covered so far, but keep in mind, I'm not a professional reviewer, I'm just a passionate and biased fan with passionate and biased opinions to boot. So please let me know how you feel about this album down in the comments below. I really appreciate being able to start a discourse, and finding out where everyone stands on this band and on this album is part of the fun of being a music fan in general. And if you do really enjoy this album and you haven't seen it, I would encourage checking out the accompanying documentary series also titled Sonic Highways. Just as Back and Forth did for Wasting Light before it, this documentary goes even further into the recording and history of this album more than I ever could. And it's super extensive with one episode dedicated to each city and song full of interviews and footage. So be sure to check that out if you can, but with all that being said, we only have one more album to cover before Happy For You is done. Aww. So also be sure to check out my cover of a song from Sonic Highways coming in the near future. But until then, be sure to take care of yourselves, wash your hands, and I'll see you in the next one.